so everybody is aware. And I have to stay over here for a minute because I don't know if you remember this last time, the YouTube was talking over me as well. So I just want to be able to close that window out once it comes up. All right. And it looks to me like we are live. Okay. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Spirited Healing Academy. I am Reverend Michelle Scrimshaw Brown, and it is truly my pleasure to be here with you all this week. I missed you last Sunday. Although I have to confess, and I just said this in the video I did on Facebook, it was really interesting to do something different on a Sunday. I did none of my usual work, and it was a nice change, because I think what it did in the end was it reminded me how much I love to be here with you. So our purpose of these gatherings is to stimulate thought, create connection, and expand consciousness, because we are an assembly of people who will teach each other to find the miracle of joyful living from life circumstance to accomplish that which seems impossible. Each week we bring on something to talk about, and I'm really excited to look at what we do this week, because full disclosure, it was like 10 to 10 and I still didn't have a topic. It's true. I got it sorted now. I think you'll be happy. All right, let's have a look at our opening intention, shall we? Here we go. May I come to understand that blessings are everywhere, that my attitude will affect outcomes, and that challenges are often gifts in disguise. May I come to trust that most things can get better with time, that my instincts and gut feelings have value, and that a positive attitude makes things go smoother. May I come to see that I have many skills and talents I can use, that I am a positive influence on many people, that there are those who wish me well. May I come to value that today is a blessing to be enjoyed, that each person is unique and important, and that each moment of my life has meaning. So as I said, I was late to the choosing a topic party. Usually I do that almost a week in advance and I prepare our little presentation, but this week just didn't roll out that way. And that's the way it is sometimes, right? So what we are going to look at now is a list that I saw on social media. It's a list that I took from Facebook, and it's called the 4 Laws of the Shaman. And I thought we would look at them one at a time and discuss them. Okay? So just wanted to remind you all that I have muted you, but you are welcome now to unmute yourselves at any point. Okay. So 4 Laws of a Shaman, like I said, taken from a Facebook post here that I attributed at the bottom. The first, the person who comes into our life is the correct person. That is to say that nobody comes into our lives by chance. All the people around us who interact with us are there for something, to learn and advance in every situation. What do you guys think about this?
I think that's very true, because I think I told you before, Michelle, I don't know how I found your message, and I linked on it, and I thought at the time it must have been meant for me to do this.
Right, because we wouldn't have found each other otherwise, right?
Exactly. And I've learned a lot and opened my mind a lot since I've been doing this on Sundays with you.
That's beautiful. I'm so glad.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, for truth, yeah. And even all the participants, they have good insight. And I'm thinking, wow, it's amazing.
It's true. I really feel like we do learn more from each other in a group.
Yes.
Agreed. And like Joanne said, we all have different insight. And sometimes somebody says something that just pops. And it's wonderful.
And you know what I think
Valuable.
is more powerful together is that we are all so committed to being open to a different version of how we see things.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
I think that's so helpful that, you know, like when this is going to sound a little strange, but when I first started thinking about creating a congregation in a Sunday group, I was really concerned about how organizations can become kind of, I want to say insidious, when people won't challenge the leader, when people think that the leader's word is gospel, that we have to listen and agree all the time. I didn't want that because I know that I don't only grow, but I grow most often through challenge. And I want people to be able to do that. So I'm so like deeply grateful that you guys don't hesitate to say, "Wow, are you sure about that, Michelle?" And then we can have those little tete-a-tetes, and then I can have my big mind explosions of, oh my God, yes, this is a new way forward. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, that is good about this group, Michelle. I appreciate that you don't try to be you have to believe everything that comes out of my mouth. I call it preaching. Once somebody's preaching, I stop listening.
That would be dangerous for me because, like, you guys know, I don't think there are absolutely any one right way.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a really interesting statement here. The person who comes into our life is always the correct person. It's interesting to think about it in terms of, you know, people who we meet randomly, like Joanne, you shared our connection, and Nancy, I know how we met. How you found us was a little bit of 6 degrees of separation.
Yep.
It's nice to think about the people who we see as positive impacts on our life, but what about the negative ones?
Yes. What about the negative ones?
Exactly what I've been thinking.
Yeah.
I had a to-do with my brother yesterday, and I just said to Phil, that's it. I'm eliminating my mother and brother from my life. I hit the wall. I've been swearing and yelling around my house and cursing. And I'll tell you, it's a good time to throw stuff out because you just go through and go, no sentiment, no sentiment. And I'm just debating.
I'll pitch this.
I'm just livid, like absolutely. I thought, how far do you go when you love somebody? How bloomin' far. And I'm just fed up. And I just said, you know, I'm trying to use all my spiritual stuff before 1:30, when the only time you can get them to answer the phone. And it's just like, you know, and I just sat there and went, I feel like we have these moments, you know, the person who comes to our life is the correct person. And yesterday I was looking up saying, listen, divine source energy, I don't ever want to be with that, my family ever, ever, ever again. Like I must have said that 6, 7 times yesterday. I was so livid. So yeah, the person who is the correct person. Well, I guess I'm trying to figure out how are they the correct people for me. Is this when I decide?
So let's remember that it doesn't mean that just because the person is in your life, they have to stay in your life.
Right.
Let's keep that in mind, right? They're here to provide some salient moment of awareness or teaching, or to clear out and balance out the karmic debts between you, whatever the complex reason is that they showed up.
And that's what you have to think about. Remember how you always say, Michelle, what am I supposed to learn from this?
And remember that often, speaking from my own very personal experience, what I had to learn was how to set a fucking boundary.
I'm learning that.
I had to learn that it was okay for me to stand up and say, no, that's not how you talk to me.
Yep.
I had to learn how to get strong and to embrace that fear of what's going to happen if I do this thing, and then stay in that uncomfortable, terrified place, while at the same time, the little person inside of me is going, yes, Michelle, defend us, protect us.
Yeah. It's just, you know, it's complicated. My mother's coming to the end of her. Yeah, I know. And it's, you know, like it's all these things. And I just sit there. I don't know. It's just hard. It's when the rubber meets the road with my spirituality, all this stuff I think I've learned. And I made an incredible breakthrough 2 weeks ago. And then I remember, Michelle, about, you know, that key person in my life who, you know, whatever. And now it's like the next two down issues are stepping forward, and I'm going, oh, cripes. I wanted a happy period for like,
But the truth is that you get to decide that.
Yep.
Right? Like
Yeah.
what other people do has nothing to do with us. What other people say has nothing to do with us. How we react to what's been done and said is us. And often that reaction is calling us to set a boundary. Often that reaction is calling us to respect ourselves. Often that reaction, certainly for me, like when overwhelm and panic starts to settle in, that's when I'm like, no. And I'm pushing back. And I don't care if people around me say it's right or wrong, or that I'm spiritual and I shouldn't have to do that. You have to keep you safe.
Yeah. It's just, you know, I'm going to be, it's just, it's, you know, the complication being my mother's coming to the end, and my brother won't, you know, he's estranged from everybody on the planet. So I will have to deal with her church, the church I grew up in, and all the people. And I feel I'm going to be judged. Well, I'm just sitting here. And I said to, like, has anybody ever had a funeral where no family attended?
Yes.
And then, you know, I'm going to be judged as the terrible daughter. And then I went, do I even care at this point?
Yes.
Like,
that's the $1 million question, Nancy.
Right.
Follow that.
Yeah.
Do you even care at this point?
Anyway, sorry. Yeah. So the person who comes to our life is the correct person and is there for something to learn and advance in every situation. Okay, that's a really good law.
Well,
it's a good law to ponder.
We can talk more offline later if you wanted to. Okay.
That's okay.
So number 2 says, what happens is the only thing that could have happened. I think we need to start right there with that first sentence, not even look beyond it in this moment. We spend so much of our lives shoulding, coulding, woulding. But what happens is the only thing that could have happened. Nothing, but nothing, absolutely nothing that happens to us in our lives could have been otherwise. Not even the smallest detail. There is no, if I had done such a thing, another thing would have happened. No. What happened was the only thing that could have happened. And it had to have been so for us to learn that lesson and move on. Each and every one of the situations that happen to us in our lives are perfect, although our mind and ego resist that and do not want to accept it. And let me preface, before I open up the mics for you guys to speak again, this was saying, I want you to remember that my life has not been rainbows and sunshine. I come from abuse. I experienced significant sexual trauma. My parents are recovered alcoholics. My brother was killed. And I believe this to be fundamentally true, not because any of what happened to me was my fault. In fact, I really feel firmly that this statement is saying it's not my fault. That there is no fault. That this situation you're raging about right now, Nancy, is not a fault.
But, you know, I don't know if you other women have had the feeling that you feel like you're being punished by, it's probably from the religious upbringing. You feel you're being punished by God. Like I sit there and go, what the H did I do to these people? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I thought I don't know. It's like 2 steps forward. And yesterday felt like 20 steps backwards, even though I've been thinking, oh, wow, I've made such progress in the last 10 years. And it's just, yeah. So you don't feel, you know, even like all the challenges you had, you don't feel it's your fault in any way. Like what happens is the only thing that could have happened. So it was going to happen, sort of.
Right.
Yes.
Those-
Remember,
those-
she wrote that plan with our universal creator before she came here.
Yeah.
And I
If-
often
if-
joke and say I was probably drunk when I made this life plan, because who would have
Could
picked
be.
all of this?
Yeah, I was saying yesterday, I must have been stupid, just plain stupid when I made this life plan. So okay. And Susan, you view your life that way as well, that whatever has happened in your life, you must have planned it
Yes.
before you got here.
Yes. And
So that's how you've,
it has taken me a long time to accept that, and I'm beginning to learn to look for the lesson. What did I have to learn from this?
and are you at more peace from that?
Yes. Not
Okay.
always. I won't say that I'm always at peace, because I'm often not,
Right.
but I'm finding peace, and I'm learning to say no to people, and that's a really huge challenge for me, but
Uh-huh.
I'm learning.
And Joanne, do you relate to this as well?
Oh, yes, very much so. I say, how is this happening? God, what did I do wrong? Where did I get off track? And I feel like at one point in my life, controlled by other people, I did get off track. But now I question, how do I get back on track, or is this my correct track?
You know, a significant moment in my recent healing journey, I would say in the last 5 years, has been when I have those same questions of how did I get here? What did I do to cause this? How am I off track? When I'm thinking about in sort of fault and blaming mode, the significant change was that changing that question to, how is this happening for me?
Funny how we default to it's our fault.
Did you
Yeah.
ask, why do we default?
No, I said it's funny how we default to what did I do wrong?
I didn't know you were
How-
here, by the way. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? What's up? You know, Nancy, you had said you said the words, you know, I was doing so good all these years. I've made such progress. And then, boom, right out the window
Yeah.
because of what had just happened. And the first thought in my mind that came was, what if it's exactly the opposite? What
In
if
what way?
all of these years you're suppressing you, the way that you feel, what you want, what you need, and boom, all of a sudden the pop topped.
All the
and
hairs are
the
standing
top
up on my body.
Oh, yeah.
and finally this is you, where you're like, you know what, I'm not going to make myself smaller, I'm not going to concede, I'm not going to make myself like uncomfortable so that you're comfortable, and this is me, and if you don't like it, then I guess you don't like it, and I'm okay
No
with
longer
that,
my
which you
problem.
very much so
Oh.
are in this space, okay now.
Wow.
With that.
Yeah, oh, that message has been, you know, yeah, been coming through. Boy, these are all good points. All you ladies are saying things that are so helpful. Anyway, and I didn't mean to co-opt the meeting. Sorry.
No, no.
I am so grateful that it's not just my family shit that's on the table in this conversation.
Well, I just find I learn from others, you know,
Yeah.
others' experience and insight.
Yeah.
It's real life people that I know, so I find that so useful.
I think about that. So that question that I shared with you, how is this happening for me? I think about it in the context of, if the universe has my back, and that's a key part of my faith, that life is happening for me, not to me, then how is this situation that is causing me insurmountable pain happening for me?
See, it's going over my head because that sentence this has come up in our meeting like 5 or 6 years ago, this is happening. This is not happening to me. It's happening for me. And I got to be honest with you. This is another one of those ones that I've struggled with, and I have not got it yet. But
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. You change your perspective. You look for, how is this happening for me?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe the answer is it's happening for you to give you permission to do what you've wanted to do for a long time, which is,
You know what I decided yesterday? I don't effing need anybody's effing permission.
that's the
And
bottom line, Nancy.
I even caught myself saying this. I woke up in the morning and I said, I give myself permission to release anything that is not for my highest good. And then I was lying there, and I said it a number of times, and I went, wait a minute, I don't have to give myself permission. I allow myself to release. This permission, I thought, take the permission word right out and just start allowing yourself to release anything that's not for your highest good. And then if it doesn't fit within those parameters, then sayonara, baby.
And that means those people too.
Right.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to say here about number 2, or shall we take a look at number 3? All right, I'm going to take your silence as a let's move it along, Scrimger. Anytime it starts is the right time. It all starts at the right time, not before or after. When we are ready for something new to begin in our lives, it is there that it will begin.
Boom.
All this crap
boom.
of I'm too old for that.
Holy
It's too late.
shnikey.
It's not.
This one is one that I've learned actually, because I find that, you know, a lot of times in the past, procrastination was my forte. And, you know, there were some things that I would try to make happen, and like it just wouldn't come to, like, it just, for whatever reason, it would always work out that it didn't work out.
Right.
And I thought, okay, well, if I haven't done it yet, there must be a reason. If I haven't done it yet, there must be a reason. And there always is. Oh my gosh, there always is. Like the circumstances that I have been through just from that procrastination process or something, I don't know. It always worked out in my favor, like beyond favor. And so now when I would say less motivated, I guess, to get something done, or I try and get something done and something else comes up, I just think, okay, well, there must be a reason. And there always is. Always. I mean, I'm not advocating for procrastination, by the way.
Well, I read an interesting article a couple of years ago that I have saved in many places and shared many times that says procrastination does not actually exist. Laziness does not actually exist. These things are impossible to do. They are all present because your body requires rest, or you are recognizing, like, it's a long psychological explanation. But once I read that, I was like, oh, right. Okay. I'm no longer a master procrastinator, because that isn't even a thing.
Yeah.
I'm just doing what is in front of me. Okay. Right. That means I'm actually succeeding. Oh my God, I'm succeeding? Like a total mind flip.
You gotta love that.
Yeah. And it gave me permission to really embrace this law. Anytime it starts is the right time.
Just a question. Does procrastination mean, I haven't been drinking, does procrastination mean we don't really want to do it? Because I've related to being a procrastinator quite a bit years ago, and still, for that matter.
It may mean that we don't want to do it. It may mean that there are other things that need our attention more urgently. It may mean that it's not the right time or the right thing. It may mean that you're overwhelmed, may mean that you're underwhelmed.
Mm.
I'll shoot
Interesting.
you the link, Nancy, so you can give that article a read and see what you think of it.
Thank you.
And it really gave me permission to feel like I was succeeding rather than constantly failing, to get the laundry done, to get the dinner on the table at the right time.
Mm.
And then to big things too, right? Like getting the next group of clients booked or whatever my other plague of the day was.
Plague of the day. That, you know what? I'm going to change my to-do list to that. Plagues of the day.
I'd rather call it orgasms of the day.
Oh, jeez.
Something fun. Hey,
right,
Something fun.
or ice cream of the day or whatever, you know,
No,
a massage of
better.
yeah, it's just, you know, plague. No, thanks. Orgasm, sure.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's look at number 4 here. When something ends, it ends. Just like that. If something ended in our lives, it is for our evolution. Therefore, it is better to leave it. Go ahead and move forward and enriched with that experienced. Now, where was this information 4 years ago when Barb left?
You know,
I'm sure it was present. I just was not in a place to hear it.
precisely.
When something ends, it just ends. It's for our evolution. Let's talk about that.
Let's
Well,
talk
it comes.
about it. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I was just going to say what comes to mind is when it ends and we don't want it to end.
Like
Kind of like what you're
friendships.
saying, Michelle. Yeah.
Right. We're deep in resistance.
Mm-hmm. Which then really prolongs the pain, doesn't it?
150%.
Yeah.
And you keep going back to it and trying to understand, why did this happen? Why did it happen like this?
I think we can all think to situations in our lives where we have been that.
Yeah.
Yep. I can think of one in particular, a friend of mine. I know that our friendship is over, but sometimes when I look from afar about that person's friendships with other people, it's like, I don't understand.
You're
Why
talking about
isn't
me,
this?
aren't you?
I am. I don't understand why she can be friends with everybody else. Why not me?
You know
really,
me. I'm just going to make it about me.
Plus, I think it's hard because when friendships end, if you've had good times with those friends, then
Yeah.
it really hurts because you go, well, geez, we always had a good time together. So it's, you know, like it's kind of, it's almost like a breakup, like a romantic breakup. And it just struck me about, you know, a particular friendship I'm thinking of, because it was always fun and, you know, went on quite a few years and everything. And I just realized how it kind of faded away. And it just struck me that it took me a lot. Look, I would say it took me probably 10 years to grieve the loss of it. And that just hit me. Wow. You know, it meant more to me than I would have thought, well, yeah, friends, you know, but it meant more to me than perhaps the other person knew.
And you know, what's interesting, you mentioned, you know, that sort of long death where it just sort of fades away. Often I'll notice that it's just faded away. And then I'm like, wait, I need to get it back. Right. And then I call them or I say, let's get together for lunch. And they say, oh, that's a great idea. I'll get back to you. And then I wind up doubly hurt because I noticed that I missed them. And then they didn't even care enough about me to say it's over. That's a story I start to tell myself.
Would you want to be told it
I'm cool.
was over?
Sorry? would I
Do you want
want
to
to
be?
be told? So I had an experience in 2018, I think, when so most of you know my long relationship with Loretta, and we had kind of faded apart over the summer, which often happened to us. Like we would have cycles of where we were really close together, and then cycles where we didn't really talk to each other for a while, and cycles where we were together and then where we were not talking. And not because anything was wrong, which is what happened, but this time felt different. And I had reached out to her a few times and she hadn't responded. And I messaged her and said, I don't know why you're no longer talking to me. And she finally responded and said, the truth is, I'm just grieving the Michelle I knew.
Ooh.
And that was probably the most beautiful thing that anyone has ever said to me at the end of a relationship.
Whoa.
Because who I am now is not who I was even yesterday, never mind who I was 35 years ago when our friendship started.
Wow.
Right? So, yes, I really appreciated it that she said it's over. Now, like you guys know how that story continues, right? Like I wasn't content to let it go. And so just occasionally I reached out, and then it was really fucking ugly and messy and painful for a lot of people
Oh.
because I wasn't in that place to accept when something ends, it ends. And that it's
Yeah.
for my evolution and for her evolution and for the evolution of all the people who are affected by our lives.
Yeah.
Who are these people that don't want to be friends with us? What the heck? What's wrong
I
with
don't
these
get
people?
it.
Yeah, I know.
They're crazy ones, Herbie.
Right. Exactly.
It's better to leave it. Go ahead and move forward and feel enriched with that experience. Can you feel enriched with your experience right now, Nancy, if this was the end with your brother?
Oh,
It'd be hard.
yeah. It's so complicated because basically my mother has basically, to me, she has dementia when I talk to her on the phone. And so it's like, you know, and I know how I'm going to be judged by everybody in the church in the small town I, grew up in. And it's just, I don't know, it's complicated in my head. It's tearing me apart, but I realize my whole life I've let my family tear me apart, even though I left when I was 14. It's just, I don't know. I'm a kind of person, I hit a wall, but boy, it takes me a long time sometimes to hit a wall. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering if this is, I'm breaking the record.
So like Nancy, I had, like there's a lot of estrangement between me and my father.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years really thinking about what I would do when he dies. And the reality for me that I've come to, and of course we'll see when that actual scenario plays out, what it actually looks like. But
Yeah.
today where I'm at is I don't think I would attend his funeral because to me he's already gone. I grieved the loss of my father 2.5 years ago. And I spent a year and a half in deep grief about that. He was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can apply that to your situation because I know you still talk to your mom, but if has dementia and she's not really present.
Well, I mean, it's like, she's getting confused in that. And the thing is, my best friend before she died years ago, and her father died, and when my brain injury happened, she said to me, make sure you write a eulogy for your mother. And it's a good thing she told me that because it took me many, many months because my brain, I had a problem reading and everything else. So I did that. and I, wrote her life history. There was no mention of her children other than she had 3 children. And there was no mention of, because there are no grandchildren out of that family, for which I dance in joy. And I know people would think that's a terrible thing to say,
No,
but
I
I don't want those
that.
family genes living on. I truly, truly
Yeah.
do not. And it brings me comfort to know they won't live on. And I know I can just hear an old school friend of mine saying that's horrible. But anyway, it's just, it's the truth of what I feel. And but it's my brother that did something. And I just thought, I have shut up and put up with it all these years. And I thought, I don't know. Anyway, I'm bringing my garbage into the meeting, and that is not appropriate.
It's 100% appropriate.
Yeah, it's just when something ends, it ends. As soon as you read this out, my stomach went, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering.
And, I think it's sort of the reverse of the first point on this list. The person who leaves our life is the right person to leave.
Yeah, but you know what? If we eliminate these people from our lives that are really challenging, does that mean we're going to have another go around with them? See, that's my thinking now,
No.
that then I'm going to have another go around with this person in the next life. And I go, oh my God.
Nancy, I'm going to interrupt your stream of consciousness there, because I would say 90%, in my experience of all of my many multiple years as a healer, 90% of all healing lessons and all healing work is around effective boundary setting and honoring your sacred self.
Ooh.
Yeah.
90%.
Wow. That's
so
powerful.
You won't have to go around again if you set the boundary. If you respect who you are.
Yeah.
If you unconditionally love yourself.
Well, when you said sacred self, that really kind of hit me in the gut.
Yeah, we don't tend to think of ourselves as sacred or having a sacred self.
It is your sacred self. And if what just happened to you had happened to your 6-year-old daughter, you would not hesitate to not see these people anymore.
Right.
And
that's
you
true.
Would feel so powerful and protective for having done that to your daughter.
Yes, I would.
And now you're going to do that for you. And feel powerful for having protected you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like hurting people. Anyway, thank you. You're giving me stuff to think about.
I know you want to go, but I just want to tell you, you don't like hurting you either.
I go, well, I can handle the hurting me. It's the hurting others.
So if you can handle it, they can handle it, sister.
Okay. Good point.
There you go. There you go. So stay with us.
And if you got to mute out for a minute to cry while you're with us, we're good with that.
Okay, thanks.
Carry the conversation.
Okay.
Loving all over your sacred self.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I guess this is why I didn't know what topic to choose, because we were just going to talk about everything.
Yeah, we needed to. But look at these laws have brought it all out of us.
Yeah.
Brought it to the front of our minds.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking it's almost a year since I moved out of my marital home.
What? Where has the time gone? There was a time portal that happened. A year?
It's crazy. Yes. A year ago now, I had the apartment ready to move into.
Wow.
The one on Ravine Road, and I was just waiting for internet connection for the Wi-Fi.
Holy moly.
Yes, and so I didn't move out till September 1st.
And Mom, how old were you?
71. Because now I'm 72 3/4.
3/4.
You were almost 72.
Yeah.
For anyone who thinks it's too late to leave a toxic relationship, My
Boom.
mom was 72 and had spent more than 50 years in her toxic relationship, which she will be the first to correct me and say it wasn't always toxic. And that is true.
It's true.
It
It
is.
wasn't.
It's not.
And sometimes now it's still not. But, you know, it hasn't been an easy path. It's still not easy. And sometimes I wake up in the night and think, what am I doing out here? Why don't I just go home? And then I realize this is home.
Yeah.
I'm still working it. I have a place to live that I'm safe and happy
Yeah.
and more than comfortable.
And you're loved
I am, yeah.
deeply.
Yeah, I
Wonderful.
You need
am.
a cat. That's just my $1.50. You need a cat.
Right.
You need a cat.
Jesus
Ooh, cats will
mercy.
change your life.
If I have a cat, then I have to, yeah. I don't know. I'm still thinking on that one. You know, I like cats.
I do know.
I got a cat and it saved my life this year.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh yeah, she's the best cat ever. She doesn't like me, but she's the best cat ever.
Little bitch.
In true cat fashion.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
She makes me laugh,
Oh.
And that's a good thing.
and that's the healer.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, my friends. I think we've come to our time. So what I'm going to ask is that you mute yourselves now so that we can go on to our affirmation of hope. We can read it all together and really feel ourselves.
Michelle, can I just say something?
Yeah.
I thank you for this topic. I think even just for the last minute, it really hit all of us in our hearts.
Hmm.
And I'm just grateful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You are very welcome, Joanne. Thank you. All right, let's read this all together. Let it resonate in our bodies and move us forward. Hope, fragile, luminous, and buoyant, fill me now. Bring your gifts of optimism, faith, and positivity. Grow strong within me today and every day. Increase my connection with those around me. Balance my moods with a lightness of being and touch all those I meet with blessings. Hope, fragile, luminous, and buoyant, fill me now. Humble and expand my heart with openness, making me compassionate, relaxed, and kind, aware of the many blessings I have each day, making of me a better, more human person. Hope is a gift that passes through me to others. And so it is. Thank you all for being here. I love you. I hope you have wonderful weeks protecting your sacred selves.
Thank you
Yes.
for a fabulous topic,
You're welcome.
the
Thanks.
4 laws.
Yeah.
I'm so
Thanks,
glad you were here, Nancy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
all of us. So much
Yeah.
good was shared here. Woo!
It's a pretty
Have a
special
glorious
Have a
week,
lovely week all.
everybody. You're right. A very special group.
group.